I am the proud and lucky owner of two Japanese flying true frogs, Zhangixalus and Latin. But what are Japanese flying true frogs? Well, Japanese flying true frogs are an incredible gliding true frog species endemic to Japan. They are also incredibly rare in captivity. In fact, they were recently captive-bred for the very first time in the UK a few months back, and I've got these captive-bred babies. I'm so lucky, and I'm going to share with you how amazing this species is in a little Japanese flying true frog care guide. First, let's talk about their enclosures. Now, Japanese flying tree frogs are a fairly large species of tree frog that reach around 9 centimeters in length for females. This is not much smaller than the white tree frog. Because of this, they're going to need an enclosure size of 45 by 45 by 60, which is the minimum enclosure size for two. A group larger than two will need a bigger enclosure, 60 by 45 by 60 or even bigger than that. As with any reptile or amphibian, you're going to want the enclosures for Japanese flying true frogs to be as naturalistic as possible. This means going bioactive, and I don't usually say that for every species. Bioactive is not a necessity for every species, but I believe for this tree frog it is. It really helps maintain the humidity, and why would you want an ugly looking enclosure when you can have a beautiful bioactive one? I'm going to show you mine as an example. Here is my Japanese flying tree frog enclosure. As you can see, it is very cluttered with plants, very busy, very cluttered, lots of branches, lots of places to hide. That is what you want for a Japanese flying tree frog enclosure. Japanese flying tree frogs are incredibly versatile, which means they are very, very good at adapting to different temperatures and humidities. Temperature-wise, they are very, very durable. They can endure temperatures from up to 40 degrees Celsius all the way down to 1 degree Celsius. Though the best temperatures for them range between 30 degrees Celsius all the way down to about 20 to 25. I give them a basking spot of 30 degrees Celsius, which they do use, and I make sure they have places of the enclosure that go down to about 22 degrees, even down to 19 degrees in the day. Now onto humidity. The humidity for a Japanese flying tree frog is also quite versatile, but the best humidity for them ranges from about 60% to 80%, with spikes up to 90%. I like to give mine a kind of medium of about 70%, which means I don't miss them every day because I already live in quite a humid area. I miss them every other day. Also, they should have a water bowl in the enclosure, which is quite large, and that will help with the humidity too. UV and lighting. Now, I give my Japanese flying true frogs a 7% Pro 25 UVB bar from Arcadia. This works perfectly, you have to replace it yearly though. I also give them a basking bulb, which gives them that basking spot of 30 degrees. And to help with plant growth, they have got an LED bar from Arcadia, which I also really recommend. I like to give my Japanese flying true frogs a choice over which UV ranges they experience. I make sure that they receive a UV range of about 3 on top, and that goes down to about 1 or below at the bottom. How long do they live for? Now, this question is really difficult to answer. Because I have one of the very few captive-bred individuals out there, it's difficult to gauge an answer. They live for about 3 to 5 years in the wild, but many people believe that it could be longer in captivity, so I'm going to wait to see. Should you get a Japanese flying tree frog? My answer to that is yes, you should. Their personalities are so outgoing. Their beautiful colour is absolutely stunning. It ranges from an aquamarine when they're juveniles, that changes to a more forested green when they're older, and they develop this beautiful spotting throughout their body. And lastly, they are so durable. They are very, very beginner friendly, and I think they'll make the perfect pet for any amphibian or frog lover. But how do you get them? Well, there's one shop in the UK that sells them right now currently. That shop is Small World Reptiles. Here are their contact details. Please contact them if you're interested, because they're the only shop in the UK that has them, and they likely won't have them for much longer. Lastly, on a personal note, I just want to say these frogs have brought so much purpose into my life. It makes me feel so special to have them, knowing that they're so rare. I just want to give some credit though to Gary Miller. who is the breeder of my Japanese flying tree frogs, and he basically provided all this information to me via writing an article in the Exotics Keeper magazine. So thank you, Gary Miller, for all your research into amphibians like the Japanese flying tree frog, and thank you for making all this information available to me.